Okay, howdy everybody, this is Trespass My Eyes. I just got in the mail, or by FedEx, my new Rad power bikes. I figured I'd do an unboxing of them. I already went over the damage on some of these boxes. I'll just show it again before I even open it up. That's damaged. The front here's damaged. This is damaged down here. So let's open it up and see what we got on the inside. Hopefully nothing got damaged on the inside. Comes with this box out here. So let's see what we got here. We got a seat post. So headlight. A little tool kit. Pedals, charger, and the owner's manual. Okay. Put this back. Okay, let's see what else we got. Take away some of the foam here. Somebody got this foam on this end. And this is the back end, it looks like. This foam on the front. This is up by the... This is the front end of the bike. So at least I'll have one. I want to keep one box here in case something, you never know, you might have to ship it back, and I keep one box for a little while in case that happens. So I think we can pick this up. Yeah, come out. Alright, so I'm going to look, see if I have any damage here, and it doesn't look like it. This thing just came off. I think it's supposed to be on the forks up here, the little flat plate. It has the fork thing. Okay, so that looks okay. Let's see if I can see any damage, just looking at it real quick. I don't see any damage. Okay, I think that looks alright so far. The boxes sure look crappy, but I don't see any damage right off the bat. So you never know until you take all the stuff off, I guess. So we'll see. Okay, so now let's take all this foam off of this thing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my little dealy bobber here. What I like to do, I'll just grab it by the blade a little bit so you only have a little bit sticking out, so that way you don't, when you're cutting this stuff off, you're just barely getting into it, and it gives you a good feel for it. Now be careful if you do that. You don't want to cut yourself. Yeah, I use a pair of diagonal cutters. There's another name for these, I'm not going to say it. You guys who know tools know what it is. Okay, so you can tell what it looks like here. The stuff that needs to be cut off is the stuff that's got the zip ties that have the tails hanging out. that's what you're going to cut. And if you find a zip tie that doesn't have a tail hanging off, that means it's a finished zip tie. So you probably don't want to cut that. Make darn sure that you don't do that. So I'm going to get the wheel off of the back of this, the front tire here. And there you have it. The front tire, I'll set that aside. This is a plastic fender. See a little bit of scratching here on this plastic fender where the zip tie was. So far that's the only damage I really see. I like to keep a clean workspace. That's just me. If it takes me a little while longer, that's okay. And what that does is it helps you not lose parts, and make sure you put the trash stuff back off to the side and you keep your parts in somewhere else so you don't get them mixed up. Okay. There we go. Some more. Look for the where it overlaps. This one has a zip tie also. Big fat zip tie here on the battery, but it was just loose. So I don't know why you need a giant zip tie. It's really not helping much. And I know this stuff ships straight from China, so it's just QA, I guess. You have to, Rad would have to keep on them constantly, I guess, at the factory to get better shipping, but you know, it is what it is. Oh, by the way, I put this thing back on. So here's another zip ties down here. Handlebars. I'll leave that one on there. So it's not hurting anything. It's on the display until I get it put up. Ties back here. See back there by the pedal, if you're here, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, the finished zip ties. Because there's two zip ties right next to each other. One's holding what looks like it goes to the motor, and that zip tie is holding up, and it's finished because it's got the clipped end on it. And one's holding the pedal crank here, and that's unfinished, so you got to cut that off, so that'll make you feel free. See, here it is. Here's a couple more back here. I'll get too old for this. Okay. So you look right down here. Here's a finish zip tie. The end's cut off. And other than the display, I don't see too much more. There's some good videos on the assembly of this bike online at the Rad Power Bike site, or they're all over YouTube also. So it says step 1 was to do the unboxing and get all the foam off of it. Step 2, install the handlebar into the stem. So, looking at this, looks like I got it backwards right now. Needs to be that way. Okay. And this will just go up right into there. Looks like I got a set of keys here that I forgot to cut off too. Hey, I got tired of sitting on my knees, so I got smart. Let's see, so it says install handlebar onto stem. Be sure to center the handlebar and ensure hardware is properly secured. Adjust the stem angle. You can do that using Allen bolts once you have the desired. Before fully secure the handlebars to the stem, adjust the stem angle. So it kind of tells you, let's see, install handlebar onto stem as shown in the assembly video for the RADCITY. Available in the help center. So I've already watched that. Basically, all you got to do is take the Allen bolts, and they're loose anyway. Take them out of here. So what I want to do for the assembly on this, what I'd like to do for the assembly on this bike is I want to use the tools that came with it in the box. I have a ton of tools here. Probably too many. Ask Mrs. Trespass. I have too many tools. I have tons of them, and I'm just going to see if we can do this with only the tools that came in the box, and that it's convenient and doable, and you can get a good tight fit with it. So, just so everybody, say you got one of these and you don't have any tools. So it comes with a little tool bag, so I'll check that out. So here's the little tool kit. Came with the bike. And it's got let's see. I count 4 open-ended metric box wrenches. And they're double-sided. Oh, here's a closed-end one. Looks like pretty cheap China stuff, but we'll see if it gets the job done. I got 4 Allen wrenches and a little screwdriver, reversible, small Phillips and a small straight. That's it. So I got to loosen this. And I just dropped the wrench. Oop, there you go. You know, you get my age. So it's March 26th today. And that was tight. And out here in Simi Valley, California, which is we're about 35 miles northeast of LA, northwest. And shoot, it's about 75 degrees today and sunny. A little bit of clouds. And this is what all of us dummies pay extra to live in California for. I call it the weather tax. The problem is the tax keeps going up and up and up. Never slows down. It's getting to where it's almost unbearable out here. The taxes. And I could imagine if you ran a business out here, it'd be almost impossible. I guess just keep raising prices. Okay, so I got the little thing off. Put these up. I just get these started by hand tight. Just get these little bolts started so you don't drop it. Plus, you don't want to cross thread anything. If you cross thread one of these bolts, if you start tightening it and it feels like it's really tight at the beginning, you know you cross threaded probably. And on a piece of aluminum that doesn't have a lot of there's not a lot of area to cut new threads in here. It'd be really hard to have to re-tap this if you had to. So be careful. And don't over tighten it either, because you could probably strip it also. And I saw in the video it said something about moving this display around. I didn't have to do any of that. I do need to center it. And using my calibrated eyesight here, let me get this thing set the way I might want it. About right. So it's right in the middle there. And I'm going to just loosely tighten these in a cross pattern. Then I'll go back on them, tighten them tighter. Okay. I'm sure there's some torque specs on this. And like I said, I'm going to use the tools that came out of the box. There's no torque wrench in here. I have one. I'm not going to break it out till later. Handlebars are on there pretty tight. Okay. I'm going to cut those keys off. Be careful here, there's a cable right here. Alright. What I'm going to do now is take this battery off so that I can get it charging. I know you just lift it up after you unlock it, but you can see the bike post is right here in the way. So I'll move that up out of the way. I guess it's the fourth one past the push. There it goes. And after I pulled that off, I see that my bike chain's loose here. No biggie. I'll put that back on here. So I wanted to get this off so I could go charge it. Okay, I got the battery on a charge now. Let's put this back. If you don't know how to do a bike chain to get it back on, what you do, the derailleur looks straight. Ooh, look at this. There's one damaged. This guard here was pushed all the way down into this thing. And when I pull it out, see it pops back up. So now it's clear. So I just pulled that out. Hopefully everything's still working. It looks straight. I don't see it's bent. It should move freely like that. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, you push this down and that loosens the chain underneath. That gives you a lot of extra chain. So you get it back on. Okay, now step 3 says to install the front wheel. For detailed instructions, please view the RADCITY assembly video and quick release install video found at blah blah blah. Ensure the front wheel and quick release are properly secured before moving on to the next step. Okay. So what I'm going to do is flip this bike over so that I can get this done. Okay, I got the bike all flipped over and I put some towels down on the handlebars so that you don't. So I think if you flip that handlebar over on the handlebars, you'll hit the display. So I got it propped up a little bit. So with this, you can see a lot of the cabling and see how it's routed. Check for damage. This wheel rolls, but it feels like to me like it's rubbing the brake. We'll check that. All right. Take this thing off. I know you're supposed to remove this, what do they call it? This is the quick release. From here. And it's got one side has a cone washer, or cone spring. If you can see that. So what I'm doing here, there's the cone spring and the small part of the cone is facing in. So you want that in, which that way the big part goes in and you can see it seats inside that nut. So it seats inside that nut, push down a little bit and turn, and that'll lock it. So you make sure your cone is facing in. I don't know if you need this spacer. That doesn't look like a this spacer washer doesn't look, does look like pot metal. Okay, you take these little protective covers off of here. That one came out. That one came out. Yeah, see, there's no way. That doesn't go in there. That's too big. Okay, so what leaves you with is this, this, and this. And what I want to do is drop this down in. Make sure my brake caliper is open, so I'm not trying to shove my disc brake. And you put it on the, make sure you do it on the correct side. Wait, so first I want to put this in. And according to the instructions, it shows a little quick release on the brake side of this. So probably doesn't matter which way, which side, but that's what it's showing on the instructions. And remember to put the cone spring with the small part of the cone facing in. Okay. What you end up with is this little deal here. See, you got springs on both sides. Okay. So then slide the sucker in there. Line it up with the brakes. Kind of gently feed it down in. Went in nice. So you hold one of the screw, or hold the nut on this side, the one side. So that's too tight because I can't even move it. I got to get this so I'm going to have to adjust that brake. See, that brake's caliper looks straight. So this is all the way down in. I want to get a little bit tighter. Okay. And they say on the videos you have it tight enough so when you push this down, you push the quick release down or up, whichever, whenever you secure it, you should have an indentation in your hand. And I do. I mean, but I'm old, I get indentations from everything. Yeah, that brake is rubbing, so I'm going to have to adjust that. Alright, so it says install the pedals. And what this is there's a really small mark here. It says WR, WL for right and left. So, and if you're old like me, you need glasses. And since I got the bike flipped over, you just have to remember it's going to be opposite. Right? So the front left would be the front right when I have it. If I have it flipped over, it's going to be the opposite side. So this side here is going to be the left, right? Because I'm on the right. So it says the left pedal is the reversed pedal. So that one is a reverse thread. And that's this one here, what I'm doing. And I've had this grease for a generation. Waterproof grease. Just put a little dab on it. Feels like it's got some grease on it already. So I'm going to go counterclockwise. And there it goes. That one's going in. And you know you did it right if it goes in easy. Okay. And I got these 4 box head wrenches here. The pedal's number 15. 15 millimeters. So remember, I'm going counterclockwise. Okay. You don't want your pedals coming off, so You want that good and tight. Put a little grease on this one. Not much. Wipe it off. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. You leave the caps off of stuff like this and you're walking around and you step on it and it's like a toothpaste everywhere. Alright. This one's clockwise. It's not going in as easy as the other one. There it goes. Okay, that's the pedals. It says to inflate tires to 50 to 60 psi. Set desired seat height. Install front fender and headlight. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it over. Let's flip it back over. Clean up my workspace a little bit. Alright, so now we're going to do the fender and the headlight. So what you do is unscrew this little bolt and nut that's got two flat washers on it. You run the fender up underneath from behind and you go under so this little notch is in the front. Okay. Then you take your headlight, you leave one of the flat washers on the front, run it through the headlight, run it through the little notch on the fender, push it in, the other flat washer goes on the other side, and this is a nylon lock washer so it shouldn't come off, and then you're going to tighten this down. So like I said, I'm going to use the tools that came with it. And we need a, I don't know what size this is. Is that a 10 or a, I think it's a 10. That one is it. I'll use the little one to cut off, I guess. The same size Allen wrench you use to adjust the brakes. Now, there it is. Full size. And it says it 10 fits for this little nut. Well, it's awful loose using the applied tools. We have a 9 in here. Yeah, there's a 9. Mine doesn't fit. 10 it is. Usually they use even numbers. So again, I'm using the tools that came with this thing. On the videos that they have on the website, the guy has one of the small torque wrenches that'll do small Newton meter readings. I have one of those, but I'm not going to use it for this. So I'm just going to get this so it's a snug and not tight. before I put the other straps on. Okay, so now I'm going to loosen the strap. It's the same size Allen wrench. So you just loosen the front one. The video says to go, make sure you go on the outside of the brake cable. And this thing is pretty janky. And just, you hold your finger on that nut on the inside there, try and get it started. I don't think I'm getting it started yet. There it goes. Okay, I'm going to leave that loose. Go to the other side. Other side, baby. Okay. Unscrew this. Da-da-da-da. I pulled it all the way out. I didn't really need to. This plastic here, I don't know, on this fender, it feels kind of weak, like a weak spot. Hopefully it will last. Try and get this bolt started. I think I got it. Yep. Okay, now this is all loose, loosey-goosey. I want to kind of make sure these line up. Tighten this up a little bit. Where'd my wrench go? This is getting tight. I want to tighten this down a little bit too. Looks pretty good, though. just going to make that snug. It's got a nut on the inside in the plastic, kind of captured in the plastic. And I'm worried that if I go too tight on that, it's going to tear it out of that plastic. The little nut that's on the inside. And then I'd have to adjust this whole thing. So I'm just going to get that snug, and that's on there good. I mean, it's not flopping around. And I can adjust these little, just kind of pull them a little bit one way or the other and get it centered more or less. The front centered. And I'll tighten that down. And I'll tighten this down. A little more. Come on. Not the right size. I'm telling you, it's a 9. But this 9 is not right. So okay, that's a fail on the tools, I think. They're saying, I think on the video, I'll have to look at it again, it says it's a 9 on a 9mm on this side. But the 9 doesn't fit, it's too small, and the 10's too big. But I managed to get it tight. So I guess if you didn't have any tools, it'll still work. But just barely. Get this light. They say to use a Phillips to adjust the light. So let's see how that works. See this? Yes, that works okay. But it's spinning the nut on the inside. That is, and the nut on the inside is an 8. So the little wrench works, and it's got one of those little plastic films covers on the light. I'll leave that on there for now. And they say to connect it to this little red. See, it's red and red, and there's a notch. So it'll only go one way. Up. Push it on. That's connected. Okay. That's the fender and the light. So today I put together 2 of these Rad Mini Step-Thrus, 2019. Just got them today. Overall the build went pretty good, pretty easy. The only weird part was the nut on the back of that headlight mounting bracket. It's a weird size. Couldn't find a wrench that fitted it exactly, so may need to check on that. Rad, make it the normal 10 instead of it looks like a 9.5. So another part of this is using the toolkit that came with the bike. I used it for the whole thing, but if you wanted to torque down on some of these where they give the specs, you can get them on the website on the video. And I'll put the video links in the description. But you know, you've got to have a specialized torque wrench to do those small Newton meters. You can't use a big one. You got to use one of the smaller ones. It's made for the small torque specs. But it's doable if you really want that to do that. But these are, if you have 0 tools, you can you can build these bikes, no problem. And they recommend you take it to a bike shop afterwards to get them all tuned up, or even have the bike put the things together. But I looked on their website. I think they want $150, $200 to do that. And with what you got to do here, if you wanted it tuned up, I'd put it together yourself and then just take it down for the tune-up. It should be cheaper. That's what I would do anyway. Anyway, other than that, let's test ride these up. I'm going to add some accessories later on. That'll be another video. And I'll do a close-up video on adjusting the brakes on this thing too. Because the back brake's kind of a pain in the butt. Because of the space. So when you finish a build like this, it's time to break out a beer. And that's what that refrigerator's for. That's the beer fridge. So everybody should have one in their garage. Thanks.